Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we unpack the financial secrets of the business world, sometimes with a little bit of reverse engineering and a whole lot of truth telling. Today we're looking at Graphjet technology, and let me tell you, they've got a bit of a shake-up happening that impacts every single share they have. So what's the big news with Graphjet technology? This is a company that's been making waves in the materials sector, and their latest filing is all about a significant change to their stock structure. They're doing a share consolidation. It sounds complicated, but it's essentially a way for them to adjust the number of shares they have out there. Imagine you have a pizza cut into 60 slices and you decide to put those 60 slices back together to make one big slice. That's kind of what they're doing with their shares. This consolidation is set to become effective very soon on August 25th. What does this mean for the average investor? Well, after this change, every 60 shares that you own will automatically become just one share. So if you owned 600 shares, you'll end up with 10 shares. They expect their shares to start trading on this new adjusted basis on the Nasdaq under their current ticker symbol GTI. Now, this sounds like it might dilute or change the value of your investment, but the company insists it won't affect your overall ownership percentage. The total value of your holdings should remain the same, just represented by fewer shares. One interesting detail here is how they're handling fractional shares. If this consolidation results in you owning a fraction of a share, say half a share, instead of giving you that tiny fraction, they're rounding you up to the nearest whole share. This is actually a pretty good deal for shareholders who might have ended up with fractional holdings. And for anyone holding shares electronically or through a bank or broker, your accounts should automatically update to reflect this change. It's all being handled by their transfer agent, Continental Stock Transfer and Trust Company. This whole process started with them filing an update to their foundational documents in the Cayman Islands. This was done on August 13th, and it formally put into motion the plan to consolidate their shares at that 1:60 ratio. But that's not all. They're also changing the par value of their shares. It's going from a tiny fraction of a cent to a slightly larger fraction. This sort of thing often happens alongside a share consolidation to keep the per share price within a certain range on the stock exchange. This wasn't a surprise move. It was actually approved by the shareholders at a meeting earlier in August. So the company is moving forward with a plan that its owners have already agreed to. They also put out a press release to let everyone know the official effective date of this share consolidation, confirming all the details we've just discussed. Now, like most SEC filings, there's a standard section that warns about forward-looking statements. This is basically a legal disclaimer telling you that the company's future predictions might not turn out exactly as planned. They often list out the words they use, like believe, expect, anticipate, and will, to flag these future-looking comments. They then go on to list a bunch of things that could go wrong or change their future plans. This includes things like changes in the markets they operate in, any new technology that comes along, or shifts in regulations. It's a pretty broad list covering competitive landscapes and technological evolutions. They also mentioned the risk that they might need to raise more money to keep their business plans going, and that they might not be able to do so on favorable terms. This is a pretty common concern for companies, especially those that are still growing and commercializing their technology. They're also being open about the fact that they might not have perfect estimates for future spending or revenue. And importantly, for anyone holding GTI shares, they highlight the company's ability to stay compliant with the listing standards for the Nasdaq stock market. This is a crucial point, because if they slip up on these rules, their shares could be delisted, which would significantly impact their liquidity. Finally, the report lists the exhibits. These are like the supporting documents for the report itself. We see Exhibit 3.1, which is the actual document outlining the changes to their corporate structure, the amended and restated memorandum and articles of association. And then there's Exhibit 99 font, which is that press release they issued confirming all these details about the share consolidation. There's also a note that some exhibits have been left out, but they're promising to provide them if the Securities and Exchange Commission asks for them. That's a standard practice to keep the filings from getting too overwhelming, and the report is signed off by Chris Lai, the Chief Executive Officer, on August 15th, 2025 trade. And so what's my take on all this? Well, this share consolidation by Graphjet Technology is a strategic move. They're not changing the intrinsic value of the company, but rather trying to make their stock more appealing or manageable according to market norms, usually by increasing the per share price. This can sometimes make a stock look more substantial and attract different types of investors. However, the mention of maintaining Nasdaq listing standards is a genuine risk factor. Investors should keep a close eye on how the company performs moving forward, especially in terms of its financial health and its ability to meet those exchange requirements. The rounding up of fractional shares is a nice touch for current shareholders, but the real story here is the operational and financial execution that needs to happen to ensure the company's long-term success and continue trading on a major exchange. Alright, that's our breakdown of Graphjet Technology's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.